You know, before Arkham Asylum, Batman games used to suck. Like, there was a point in time where the Lego Batman games were the best ones out there. You had the Batman Begins movie game, that joint came out on the PS2. You had Batman Dark Tomorrow, where, I'm not gonna lie, even though that game was ass, I like Scarface in that one. The cutscenes was kinda crisp. And as I said prior, you had the Lego Batman game. Obviously there was more, but those are the three main ones I remember. The point I'm trying to make is when Asylum dropped, everybody loved it, because for the first time, we felt like they were actually taking the game seriously. Arkham Asylum was the first time out of all the Batman games we played where we actually felt like the Batman. From its gameplay to its designs, it felt like a story ripped straight out of the comics. And because of Arkham Asylum's success, we ended up getting a sequel, Batman Arkham City. Now, despite the success and the originality of Arkham Asylum, the main one that people talk about the most is Arkham City. That's the main Arkham game that people praise in that community. The best way for me to describe it is, think of the Halo series. Now think of Halo 3. It's the same thing with this one. Arkham City is the Halo 3 of the Halo series. Everybody looks in that shit and be like, yup, that's the franchise's poster boy. But is all that just nostalgia? I myself is a person who's part of that group who believed that Arkham City was the pinnacle of the Arkham games. But as a person who's played both Origins and Night, I'd be lying if I said I don't sit back sometimes and think, why do we consider Arkham City the best in the series? Is it all nostalgia, or was it really because it was that great of a game? Now, after replaying City and parts of Origins and Night, I think I might have figured it out. Batman Arkham City is a DC Comics action-adventure released on both PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on October 18th, 2011. Now, the intro to the game depends on which version of it you bought. If you bought Batman Arkham City Game of the Year Edition, yours opened up with Catwoman. Her DLC missions were added to the game because of the edition that you bought, so her story is told alongside Batman's story in that specific edition. Now, if you bought the original edition, yours opens up with Bruce Wayne holding a press conference in front of Arkham City. Now, Bruce is against the opening of Arkham City. He thinks it's a terrible idea, and during said press conference, mercenaries raid it, arrest him, and imprison him in Arkham City itself. There, he's tied to a chair and greeted by Hugo Strange, who admits that he knows Batman's true identity, which is Bruce Wayne. After failing to escape captivity, Bruce is thrown outside by a guard into an Arkham City prison lineup. After being successfully transferred into Arkham City, Bruce is greeted by the Penguin and numerous inmates. Now, this is the part of the game where we transition from the intro into the actual gameplay. We get the opportunity to explore the fight mechanics of Arkham City, and after defeating Penguin and his goons, we then scale a building after calling Alfred to drop off our armor. We suit up in an updated version of the Asylum costume, and now we're ready to explore the rest of the game. Now, right off the bat, we see a major difference between City and Asylum. We're in a fucking city. See, in Asylum, you were only restricted to Arkham Asylum itself. You couldn't go outside the island. In Arkham City, however, it's reversed. Now you have the entire city to your disposal. The map is twice as large as Asylum, there's a lot more variety of different thugs you can face, and there's a lot more breathing room. The atmosphere is relatively the same, you know, like dark and gritty and grimy, but it's still a major difference compared to Asylum. Now, we're not entirely done with the story. I'm gonna skip over a few parts because this is the most important part of the story. Joker kidnaps Batman and injects him with some sort of illness that he himself had. Said illness is killing Joker, and now that's in Batman, it's killing him. So now Batman has to find a cure, or else both he and the Joker are gonna die. Now that is what officially kicks off the story, because now Batman spends the majority, if not the entirety of the campaign looking for said cure. Now, I'm gonna keep it real with you, this shit kind of threw me off. It was a good addition, but it threw me off because while we're also looking for a cure, there's also another thing going on in the background called Protocol 10. Like every so often you hear that in the background, Hugo Strange on the announcer screaming 10 hours so Protocol 10, 9 hours so Protocol 10. Hell, one of the reasons why Batman went to Joker in the first place is because, for one, he wanted to see if he was really dying, and number two, he wanted to figure out what Protocol 10 was. Coming to find out, Protocol 10 is the destruction of Arkham City. And the reason why some of this threw me off is because I kind of felt that there was no real direction with Arkham City. First, we have to figure out a cure for our illness that Joker gave us, right? So then we have to go to Mr. Freeze in order to help find a cure, but in order for us to do that, we have to help find Freeze's wife Nora because Joker is keeping her hostage somewhere. And then you also have to investigate what's going on with Protocol 10 and what it actually means. But before we even do that, we have to free Mr. Freeze from Penguin because he has him kidnapped for some reason. And then after freeing Freeze, Batman decides that we need Ra's al Ghul's blood in order to really activate the cure. And so now we have to track down Ra's al Ghul, find him and get his blood, which by the way, I also didn't mind because I think the Ra's al Ghul part of the story gave us the best boss fight in this game, but still it adds to the craziness. And then you have Catwoman, who's in Arkham doing Catwoman shit. And maybe I misspoke when I said that this game has no real sense of direction, because technically, despite all these crazy stories and side quests being added to the game, they all technically lead to the ending. And that brings me to the ending. The final boss of the game, Clayface? The fuck did that come from? What were his motives? Yes, I know they gave us like 2 different hints throughout the story. And according to Clayface, the reason why he did it was because it was for the role of a lifetime. But still, it threw me off. And don't get it twisted, despite my tone, I'm not saying the majority of this is bad. I'm not saying any of it is bad. The point I'm trying to make is the story for Arkham City was the equivalent to one big ass wild goose chase. That's what I think of when I think of this game. It's a wild goose chase. Like even at the ending where Joker dies and we leave Arkham City, I'm still left with the question. Was Joker's cure the main point of Arkham City, or was it Protocol 10? Because if you think about it, Hugo Strange orchestrated some of the events of Arkham City just as much as Joker did. But Protocol 10 wasn't really given that much attention till like the 3rd chapter of the game, where buildings started getting blown up and inmates started dying. Like the way Protocol 10 was activated at the end of the game, the way it was treated, you would have thought that it was like this big reveal that we've been waiting for the entire game. And technically it was, due to how many Protocol 10 hints we got throughout the game, but I don't think it was treated as the main focus throughout the first 2/3 of it. And maybe that was intentional, because when Protocol 10 was revealed, I was genuinely surprised. I didn't see that shit coming. I just wish they gave it more attention. Goose Chase aside, I still liked the story. It was filled with plot twists and turns, and we got to see a lot of our favorite characters from the comics. Not that we did in Asylum, but I think City did that better. Like the story for Arkham City felt like so many great episodes from Batman the Animated Series mixed into one playable game. And maybe they got inspiration from the show, who knows? I mean, they had Kevin Conroy, but nonetheless, the story for this game was great. Now onto the gameplay. Now at the time of Arkham City's release, the fight mechanics for this game were probably the best I've seen in who knows how long. Now, just like Asylum, they have the whole free flow combat thing. Like after you hit the first opponent like 3 times, you can jump from opponent to opponent to opponent using a series of different attacks. Like you can be on one side of the room fucking someone up and immediately jump to the complete other side to do the same. The mixture of speed and brutality in the free flow combat was perfect. Now, unlike Asylum, City added a new aspect to the fight mechanics called the beatdown. Basically, you press circle to use your cape to stun your opponent like you did in Asylum, but in City, after you repeatedly press square, you basically punch your opponent in the chest and face damn near 30-40 times within the span of 5 seconds. It is so amazing to look at. It's something that you mainly use on like the brutes, but you can use it on literally anybody. Like, I think that's where the whole "now talk" meme came from, because you have Batman who's basically punching every single one of your ribs in within a span of 10 seconds, and then immediately he goes to interrogate you. I think the addition of the beatdown was perfect, because for one, it stayed in the other Arkham games, Origins and Knight, and at the time it added more variety to the system. And then you have the countering system. Let's say you're doing a beatdown and you're about to get interrupted. It's the same as Asylum. If you have a blue marker over their head, you press triangle in order to counter. And it's not just for one enemy. If multiple enemies attack you at the same time and you press triangle for every single one of their blue markers, you get this beautiful 2 to 3 person knockout counter animation. It's fun as hell. You have the yellow markers, which is for blades. You're supposed to tap triangle and move back while you do it. That way you can disarm them, but you can also hold triangle and move back to simply evade. A lot of thought and patience was put into the fight system of this game, but I think a lot more thought was put into the flight system. So in Arkham City, you're in, well, a city. There's buildings, skyscrapers, there's everything around you. The movement for this city is, other than running, grappling hook and cape combo. You can use a grappling hook to reach many rooftops throughout Arkham City. Once you get to said rooftop, now you can use your cape and glide. And it's not just like regular gliding that you see in, like, let's say maybe, I don't know, like a Just Cause or something. The glide mechanics in this one are so much better than Asylum. Batman can practically fly in this shit. If you start gliding and you just decide to like nosedive into the floor, when you feel your controller vibrating and you pull up, Batman can soar even higher into the sky after using enough momentum to soar farther. It was incredibly new at the time, and unless you saw like sneak peeks of gameplay on either the internet or G4 TV, you didn't know this was in the game until you played it, and that made the reveal even better. Now, as for other game modes, you also had Riddler's Revenge. Riddler's Revenge is kind of like arcade mode for Arkham City. Rather than playing the campaign, you get to unlock various maps throughout the story, which allow you to play multiple scenarios, or in other words, waves of enemies, while also racking up points. Now, a lot of these maps can be unlocked by finding Riddler trophies throughout the story. You gotta solve some random puzzle in order to get it, and sometimes it's concept art, but for the most part they're maps. And once you unlock said map, you're free to play on it. I think this is probably my favorite part of the game, because when you're playing campaign, the main focus is the mission and completing the story. Riddler's Revenge kind of lets you sit back a little bit and explore the different mechanics of not only the fighting system, but also the fight mechanics of other characters. You can play as Catwoman, Harley Quinn, Robin, Nightwing, Batman, whoever. Each assigned with their own specific fighting style, and each given their own costumes. Obviously, Batman has the most, but still. Also, this is a small thing for me, this is the first game that I can actually play in the Batman Beyond suit. Now, me, I prefer the animated series, but that costume in Batman Beyond was stellar. It's still Bruce Wayne's build, so it's not like you're playing as Terry McGinnis, but still, it's the Batman Beyond costume, bro, come on. Now, this is where the whole nostalgia versus quality segment comes in. Was this game carried by nostalgia, or was it really that good? And in order to do that, we're gonna compare it to the successors, Origins and Night. Let's start with Origins. Now, for y'all who probably know this already, Origins is my favorite Arkham game. I loved Origins. The hell, I enjoyed it more than Night. So I might sound kinda biased, but bear with me. When it comes to boss battles, I think Batman Arkham Origins did theirs better. However, Arkham City's boss battles were a lot more memorable. Like for me, I think the most memorable boss fight from Origins is obviously the Deathstroke boss fight. Everybody remembers that. That and the Bane boss fights. But other than that, no one talks about Firefly or Electrocutioner unless to laugh at them. Folks don't talk about the Killer Croc boss fight or even Lady Shiva's and Deadshot's. However, for City, it's different. Everyone remembers the Mr. Freeze boss fight. Everyone remembers the Solomon Grundy boss fight, the Clayface boss fight. Then that's really it. That part by itself could just be nostalgia because, like I said, I think Arkham Origins handled their boss fights way better than City did. But still, City is more known and respected in the community. Even with their flight mechanics, I think Origins flight mechanics were a lot better than City's. In Arkham City, like I said, you have the grappling hook and cape combo. You hook to the closest gargoyle or rooftop and then you glide off. Origins was a lot more advanced. The gliding system was the same, but the grappling hook is what made it feel better. If you double tap on the grappling hook, rather than just staying posted up on the gargoyle or rooftop like you would in City, you add more speed and just zoom past it and fly higher into the sky. Kind of like how I said Batman was practically flying in City, bro's actually flying in Origins. The cape mixed with the double tapping grappling hook combo was a lot better than the combo in City, in my opinion. And now let's get to the fight mechanic. I think the fight mechanics for City was better than Origins. And the only reason I say that is because Origins, once you start building up that meter, the gameplay gets slower. Like everything goes in slow motion and the screen gets distorted. It's really weird to look at. City is not like that. It's no distorted images, there's no slow motion, it's just straight hands, and I love that. Now here's where Knight comes in. I don't think Arkham Knight had a better story than City. Mainly because even though it was a goose chase in City, because not only was it a lot more fun, but some of the plot twists in that game you genuinely did not see coming. Arkham Knight, however, they technically gave away their ending after showing various images and portrayals of Jason Todd. The minute Bruce started hallucinating about Jason Todd, the game basically told you, yeah, the Arkham Knight, that's just Red Hood. Because think about it, they've never focused on him before, but now that this newcomer in the Arkham City shows up out of nowhere trying to kill Batman for whatever reason, that's when bro starts getting flashbacks of Jason Todd. That's when the series decides to focus on the one dead Robin. I'll give Knight its credit, it gave me probably my favorite DLC out of all 4 games, the Red Hood DLC. But other than that, they weren't pretty good at holding the secret. Now for the fight mechanics, Arkham Knight blows City out the water. They took everything that was good about City and they amplified it. Now you can pick up enemy weapons and bash them across the head with it. The fighting style is a lot more fast paced and a lot more brutal. And they kind of added in a whole tag team feature in their version of arcade mode and in the story. Basically you can have you and Robin or you and Nightwing fighting side by side and you can switch off between the two. The fight mechanics and gameplay for Knight was so much better than City. Even the flight mechanics, but that's mainly because they copied Origins. And by that I mean they took the cape and the whole double tap grappling hook combo and they put it in Knight. Its arcade mode wasn't as good though. I still prefer Cities. Not saying I don't like it, because kind of like City you get to play this variety of different characters, but I think City did it better. And especially in the boss fights. The boss fights in Arkham Knight suck because there are no boss fights. I don't know why for the life of them they took that aspect out of the game, but whatever. So City got it beat on that. And with all that being said, I've come to a conclusion. Is Arkham City the best in the series? Yes, but not for the reasons that you think. Did Origins have a better boss fight system and a better flight mechanic system? Yes, it did. However, it lacked in the fighting system, while also having a pointless multiplayer. Did Arkham Knight have better fight and flight mechanics than Arkham City? Yes, it did. However, its story was nowhere near as better, or its arcade mode. The reason why Arkham City is better than its successors is because those two lacked in some and gained in others. With City, it was the whole package. It had a good fight system, a good flight system, a good story mode, a good arcade mode. Arkham City is not that game in the series where you look at it and say, yeah, this part's good, but that part isn't. Other than the whole wild goose chase aspect, this game doesn't really have as many vital flaws as the other games in the series do. Asylum included. I think the reason why I didn't talk about Asylum much is because, let's keep it real, City's so much better than Asylum. Like, I don't even think that shit was a question. But back to what I was saying. While Origins and Knight had its ups and downs, City didn't really have too many downs in comparison to its ups. And to keep it real, it's also because it's the first. A lot of the things I loved about Origins and Knight were characteristics and aspects that were introduced in Arkham City. Yeah, the map for Origins is bigger, but Cities is more memorable because of what it accomplished first. Is it fair? Not really, but it is what it is. Arkham City, in my opinion, is the best in the series, not only because it's more memorable in what it accomplished first, but also because of how much of a whole package it is compared to its predecessor and successors. Origins is still my favorite though. I'm just gonna put that out there. Even though City is technically the best, Origins is still my personal favorite out of all 4 Arkham games. I don't give a fuck. But nonetheless, I appreciate y'all for watching Reggie TV. I told y'all, man, after that last one, I'm in a superhero mood. I like how I said I might do Spider-Man or Punisher, then I jump over to DC. Y'all gonna get one of them eventually, but for now, I just want to get this Batman video out the way. But tell me what your favorite Arkham game was. Did you like City? Do you agree with the whole it's a wild goose chase things? Did you like Origins? Not a lot of y'all liked Origins. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only one. But nonetheless, that's all I got. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'm